Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to another episode of Pod Snipe Celly. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me, as always, almost always, that is Joel Fernino. Joel,
Get that it's almost always crap out of here. Hello.
you missed one episode. I gotta give you a hard time about it at least a little bit.
That's not cool, man.
I mean, it's what we do. We give each other a hard time. At the end of the day, we shake hands. We call each other friends. It's what we do. It's like on a roast battle on Comedy Central. You tease the ones you care about, right?
I mean, yeah.
Are you being pissy again?
I was going to do that bet, but it's kind of hard to be. I was actually thinking about doing that, but I don't know. It's hard to be, pissy. I mean, man, look, I know we're a hockey podcast, but that was probably one of the best football weekends I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Such a great weekend of football.
Yeah, like that Bills-Chiefs game was. I don't know if I've ever seen a better game, and I'm even including my own team.
I mean, all four games came down to the last play. I don't remember that ever happening in my lifetime. Well, there we're having some audio issues, so we'll just roll past that. Getting into the show tonight. If you have a comment, prediction, spicy take that you want to share with us, we'll put it up on the screen during the show. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can give us a follow as well at PodSnipeCelly on Twitter. Also on the Sports 2.0 network and on Noop Sports. They do a great job taking care of us, getting the show on the air. We are also available on demand on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So if you want to join us throughout the live show tonight, we'd love to hear from you. But we're going to jump right into the NHL Midseason Awards. Joel, we are about halfway through the season. And before we even dig into the awards, I want to ask you, what has been the biggest surprise in the NHL for you this season?
With regards to player awards, that's tough.
Not even necessarily in regards to player awards, just in general, the thing that has surprised you most in the NHL this year.
How much of a wagon Florida is?
I tried to tell you at the beginning of the show.
Look, I know you did, but I it's not like I doubted that they were going to be good or anything. I believed you. I just didn't expect them to be, like I said, such a freaking wagon. I don't know. I mean,
they're cruising.
Seriously, and I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, it's a battle of Florida. It's literally between them and Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 61 points, tied with Colorado for tops in the league. Colorado does have 2 games in hand. Tampa Bay also at 61 points, but they've played one more game than Florida. So Florida number 1 in the East and number 2 in the league overall.
And sitting pretty too, like them in Tampa. Like Toronto is, what is that, 8 points behind them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty comfortable lead heading into the halfway point. I mean, and that's not to say that it's a safe lead. Anything can happen in the NHL, and you see weird second half turnarounds all the time. You see the St. Louis Blues, a prime example of that a couple of years ago, going worst to first, catching fire at the right time and winning the cup. That's not to say that we think Florida is going to fall off. They're looking pretty darn good right now, but
that's why hockey's the best. That's hockey, baby. Literally anything can happen. We just talked about it last week. There's no clear cut favorite right now, and that's awesome. But even if there was, even if it was, I don't know, Tampa just far and away 10 points in the NHL standings, it means absolutely nothing, and it's just great.
I think for me, my biggest surprise to this point in the season is we knew the Montreal Canadiens were going to fall off after making it to the Stanley Cup final last year and really overperforming.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that they were going to be as bad as they are. I mean, Arizona has sold off assets repeatedly. They're clearly in a tank bottom out rebuild that we've talked about on this show multiple times.
We're not going to become the Arizona Coyotes show this week.
We're not, but you know what? We're going to give them a little bit of love for 2 reasons. One, because you picked them last week, and for the third time that we have picked the Arizona Coyotes in Wednesday night picks, not only have they covered the 1.5 puck line spread that they need to cover, they have outright won the game every single time that we have picked them on Wednesday night picks. I don't get it. I don't know why it keeps happening, but there's something about Arizona on a Wednesday night, man. If we see them the rest of the season, how do you pick against that when they're 3-0 so far on Wednesdays?
Well,
But
easily because they suck, but continue.
beside that point, Montreal is just in such rough shape right now. I mean, they are absolutely decimated with injuries and illnesses. Beyond the big two of Carey Price and Shea Weber being out, possible career enders for both of those two. Jake Allen out for the next 8 weeks. Montembeault with an upper body injury. So last night against Minnesota, Montreal played their 4th and 5th string goalies during an 8-2 win for Minnesota over Montreal. Really missing Kotkaniemi, who went to the Carolina Hurricanes. Jonathan Drouin was out of the lineup last night. Cole Caulfield, what a disappointment so far for Caulfield. We thought he was going to really tear it up. 1 goal to this point in the season. I mean, that's a big part of the reason, I think, and fair or not, to say that about Caulfield, who's in his first full season in the league.
Yeah, give him some time.
Yeah, we know he has the goal scoring capability, and it's going to come. I feel like when he gets that next goal, like it's going to start coming in bunches. Like he's going to flip that switch, figure it out, and just shake off the bad juju of going this long without a goal, and he'll be able to turn it on and finish strong in the second half. But for me, that's my big surprise is that Montreal is as bad as they've been.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we were just talking about going from worst to first. They went from first to worst. I mean, it's kind of crazy. But when you lose, caliber players like Carey Price and Shea Weber, I mean, it's kind of hard to sustain. But even still, like it's been rough for them. Also, you mentioned the Wild slaughtering Montreal. They also beat the Blackhawks.
I didn't even mention
weekend.
that they beat the Blackhawks twice last week. I
know. I said you mentioned. That's what I'm saying.
You
mentioned they slaughtered Montreal. I'm mentioning they beat the Hawks.
We were 7 minutes and 45 seconds into this show before you were the one who brought it up. For me, that's personal growth for me to not be dunking on you this early in the show.
Yes, and for a reason, because all I saw over, you beating the Hawks in the home and home, sweeping the home and home, us forcing you to you forcing us.
It's just really nice to be on the other end of a 5-1 scoreline against Chicago for a change. I mean, it took a while to get there.
I agree, and I mean, hey, we relished in it for a decade now. We're feeling it, but it's just funny. It's just funny to see Minnesota fans hop on Twitter and just gloat about destroying a team like Montreal or a mediocre team like Chicago.
You score hey man, goals, you get to brag.
And that's fine, but it's like
with 8 different goal scorers, you get to brag.
My whole point is, look, I understand you guys aren't used to winning, so you get excited over the teams you're actually expected to beat when you're actually.
This guy wants to talk about not being used to winning, and where are your Hawks in the standings?
We got 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years. We dominated a decade. It's
all
fine.
the way down to 7th.
Yes, and that's.
Remember when Joel said that the Hawks were going to be a playoff team this year? Here's David chirping in with
hey, yes.
The
I mentioned that the Wild
not to derail, but HP chiming in as well. It's because Caulfield went to Wisconsin. Problem number 1.
Ooh, got some college shots getting fired on this 13th lucky number 13th episode of Pod Snipe Celly.
Wait until David finds out that we're talking college hockey. He'll have 10,000 comments. In fact, as I said it, okay, here's HP laughing about
Rafflecopter,
the Hawks and the Wild. Let's get into our midseason awards. We'll segue out of that. The Hart Trophy, NHL MVP. Joel, we are halfway into the season. We've got a couple of guys who are really out in front of everybody else right now. At the top of the list, the top 3 in terms of betting odds, Connor McDavid, Alex Ovechkin, and Leon Draisaitl. Are you taking any of those 3 to win the Hart Trophy? And if not, who is your sneaky contender in that mix?
I can answer both of those questions. I mean, it's hard to argue, and I mean, I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it on the show, but I mean, now I'm saying it on the show. There is a reason that Vegas always wins, right? There's a reason the house always wins. Always look to Vegas for the odds, and usually a little hard to bet against Vegas, and to me, just like that, it's a little hard for me to bet against Connor McDavid. I still think he's probably gonna. He's what is he? 2 points behind first in points, right?
He
Sorry, three
is, yeah,
points.
three
Three.
back.
He's three
of
back.
Ovechkin.
Excuse me. He's 3 back behind a 3-way tie for first, which
Mhm.
is fun. But I don't know. I still think he's still the best player in the NHL. He's the best player in the world. Draisaitl obviously is right up there too. He's a line mate. Like that obviously helps. I think McDavid picks it up. Only a 3-point difference as we sit here today. I think he picks it up. I think he probably gets motivated too by all the crap going on in Edmonton. The whole pissy thing, that debacle with the media, just the garbage fire that's going on. But he's still going to do Connor McDavid things. So is Draisaitl, but I think my safe bet, I'm gonna say McDavid ends up coming back and taking it for the not third year in a row because Draisaitl won it last year, right?
No, McDavid won it last year. Draisaitl the year before.
So for the second year in a row.
Right. Or wait, no, you keep talking. I'm gonna look that up.
Fact check me on that. I thought it went McDavid, or I'm sorry, yeah,
we can
I thought it
fact
went
check in real time.
Yeah, I thought it went McDavid.
Yeah, I remember that correctly.
McDavid.
It was McDavid last year, Draisaitl the year before. McDavid's other win before that was 2017.
That's why. Okay, so yeah, so second year in a row for McDavid. I mean, I expect him to do it now. I can think of maybe 2 other names that might sneak in there. I'm not like Draisaitl might, but I'm not going to make that my pick because that's not fun. I feel like Draisaitl, it's like a battle between teammates, and I think that's kind of fun. But if he keeps it up, who is more of an MVP to their team than Alex Ovechkin? And he's in that current 3-way tie for first right now.
He is, and what he's doing with. I mean, Washington had a lot of injuries at the start of the season. A lot of guys out of the lineup.
They're talking about
playing without
Backstrom in there.
Playing without Backstrom, his primary center.
Man.
Carlson on the power play. TJ Oshie's been out for a while now. Those are kind of the big ones. But Ovechkin, I think, is just having such a monster year this year. He is absolutely got his sights laser focused on breaking Gretzky's goal record. 7 away from Jaromir Jagr for third place on the all-time list. So he's chasing it down with quite a bit of energy and intensity.
I hope he does it. I hope he breaks it. I hope he breaks Gretzky's record.
I think he is going to get very close. I don't know if he's going to get there, but I think he's going to get real close. We got Joey checking in from Orlando.
Joey's still listening.
A good show. Appreciate it, Joey. And not only that, but Joey is throwing in his vote for MVP Stamkos, keeping the Tampa Bay Lightning in the race while Nikita Kucherov was out of the lineup. Stamkos a little further down in the odds. In fact, I'm trying to find where he's at right now. He is plus 5,000 on DraftKings.
Make some good money on that.
Despite being 6th in the league in points. I mean, that's pretty good odds. HP is casting his vote for the Hart as Ryan Hartman. I mean, Joel, how much would you okay, let me back up and ask it this way. Would you love or hate to see Hartman win the Hart?
I would love it. He's a Chicago guy. He is a hometown kid. I'd love to see him. He won't, but I'd love to see that.
He won't. I wish, as great as that would be, I don't think it's going to happen.
He's a hometown kid. I don't care who he's playing for. Absolutely. I'd love that.
And I think the real reason that he won't get Hart Trophy nomination is because there's another solid Hart Trophy candidate playing for the Minnesota Wild. You knew I had to bring this up.
Yeah, I know.
Kirill Kaprizov. How do you not look at what he has done to the Minnesota Wild over the last 2 years and say that there is a player that has been more valuable to his team in that span than Kaprizov? He scored his 100th NHL point last night, 100 points in 92 games, 4th fastest player in the modern era to get to 100 points. He's just so stupid good at hockey. Like, it is, I watched him the other night on a puck pickup of all things. There was a loose puck in the neutral zone, and he reached all the way across, like back across the grain with his stick, knocks it to his skate, kicks it up, and puts it on his forehand, dumps it in, and changes. It's the type of play that just made your head spin, and if you blink, you're going to miss it. He's doing so many of the little things right. I could go on for a long time talking about the value of Kirill Kaprizov.
And just to prove that I'm not the homer that some people might think I am, yeah, of course he's got to be in there. Because to the point I made earlier, as much as an MVP as Alex Ovechkin is to his team, I mean, Kirill Kaprizov is probably even more the MVP. Without Kaprizov, the Wild are probably not in the position they are right now, and I would stand firm on that. They're a good team, but
Definitely.
without Kaprizov putting up these points, I don't think you guys are in the position or as scary of a team as you currently are.
Definitely. I mean, you saw what happened when Kaprizov, I mean, when he's not in the lineup, he's only missed a couple of games in his career. But the Wild are a completely different team with him or without him. I mean, you can just tell. I'm going to actually go completely off the board with what we've talked about so far for a candidate. And I'm going to give you somebody that I think really does have a legitimate shot to dethrone everybody we've said so far.
I know who you're going to say.
You do, because we talked about it beforehand. Jonathan Huberdeau.
I'm guessing. I was right.
I mean, I just said it. So
no, you didn't. Nope.
The guess now is null and void.
I knew it.
But Jonathan Huberdeau, Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Again, Florida, we talked about how good they are. Huberdeau, 16 goals and a league-high 42 assists on the season. 58 points. He's tied with Ovechkin and with Draisaitl at the top of the league. But Huberdeau really, I think, as a winger as well, kind of takes on a little bit more of a defensive role than what Ovechkin does, despite them playing virtually the same position. Or actually, yeah, the same position. They're both left wings. So the same deal there. They're right in that points race this season. And I think the only reason that might give a little more push for Huberdeau over Ovechkin, not that I don't like Ovechkin, not that I don't think he's a very, very good choice, but just looking at where they're at in the standings. Washington, 4th in the Metro. They are 3 points out of first, but there's a massive drop-off with where they're at above everybody else in that division. You go from Washington at 55 points to Columbus at 37. That's a very top-heavy division right now. And as close as the race is going to be down the stretch, Rangers, Penguins, Hurricanes, and Caps, I don't know that the Caps can come away with a division title in that group. Whereas looking at the Atlantic, Florida's in first. So for me, that's the difference between those two. For me, it's a slight edge for Huberdeau. HP is saying, "Nah, you're still a homer." I think there's a little bit of truth to that.
Whatever.
All right, and on to our next award here, the Vezina Trophy for the top goaltender. This is another one where we've got kind of a 3-horse, maybe a 4-horse race at the top of the leaderboard for Vezina. Joel, looking at the top 4 right now, Igor Shesterkin, Jack Campbell, Andrei Vasilevsky, and UC Saros are your top 4 in Vegas odds. Those are all on DraftKings as well. For the Vezina Trophy, Joel, I think I know where you're going to go here because we kind of talked about it last week. Who is your take for the Vezina Trophy?
It's easy. I don't even have it. It's got to be Igor. Shesterkin has been ridiculous. And I mean, he had maybe not a slow start, but he definitely wasn't as like total knockout as we thought he was going to be. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm coming. Hold on. I'll be there. And he's gotten there. I mean, like you look at, he is all right. I'm getting out of the way the, some of the backups or the guys that don't have as many starts as Shesterkin. He is currently 5th in the league in goals against average. However, he's only behind Freddie Anderson. Everyone else above him doesn't have enough starts to even contend there. So, and
Yep.
especially one of them being Pavel Francouz, right? Francouz. We talked about this last
We
week.
talked about this, and I already forgot how it's pronounced.
It's Francouz.
I think they said Franco or Francouz. Maybe.
I'm gonna trust Pat Foley. He said Francouz, and he knows.
We need
an
Avs fan to watch and tell us what it actually is.
I know one, but he's a fair weather Avs fan, so I don't know.
How can you be a fair weather Avs fan right now? As good as that team is, how can you be a fair weather Avs fan?
What do you mean?
I mean, you look at what the Avs have done over the last couple of seasons and how they're just an absolute wagon this year.
For the last about 3, not including this season, it's been about, what, 3 seasons now? Yeah.
Yeah, they've been good for a while.
All right, that's when he became a fan. He doesn't watch, but if he happens to watch, I hope he sees this, so he knows I'm giving him crap. But what?
HP is saying if you say Fleury for Vezina.
Listen, if he keeps it up, he can get there. However, and if he keeps it up and gets traded to another team and then continues to keep it up, he absolutely can. But no, he's not my pick.
First off, no. Second off, also no. Go ahead.
You're only saying that because he's a Blackhawk. If you were anywhere else, you wouldn't say that.
No, anyway. I'm saying that because there are at least 5 goalies this year that I would give a vote for Vezina to ahead of Fleury.
What is the whole theme of this episode? We're only halfway through the season.
That's true, but guess what? Even if all of them stay on their current trajectories, I don't know if I even have Fleury in my top 10 for Vezina voting.
You would be absolutely wrong. Anyway.
I mean...
I would put him at 10. Anyway. Igor Shesterkin is definitely my pick. I mean, yeah, I don't even have a dark horse. I think he's going to continue. He has not fallen off. He, in a bad game for him isn't a bad game. Like a bad game for him is actually a decent game for mediocre goalies. So he has just been such a brick wall for them. And I also know because I track him on both my fantasy teams, and he is helping me. It's a no contest for me. I'm curious who you say, but it's a no contest for me.
I am going to go in a little bit different of a direction here because I do like Shesterkin and what he's done in the first half of the season, but I think the Vezina voters are going to take a look at the recency of how well UC Saros played at the back half of last season and how well he has contributed this season for Nashville. They've been a first-place club for most of the season. They are currently third behind a surging Colorado Avalanche club, a St. Louis Blues club that is tied with them in the standings but has the game in hand. Nashville, depending what they do over the second half of this season, especially if Saros continues to play second half of what he did last season and build on that, I think if Nashville finishes first or second in the Central, he's got to be getting a lot of votes. Shesterkin, there's going to be somewhat of an East Coast bias there. There tends to be in the voting. You see year after year, like people don't watch the West Coast games as much, and players in the Western Conference that maybe should be getting more consideration just don't.
I'm going to disagree on that bias. Marc-Andre Fleury.
I mean,
last year.
That's an exception. That is a rare exception in these rules from what you see. I mean, that's a topic for season.
Hold on.
That's a whole different conversation. Bringing it back to the Vezina Trophy.
That's what I'm looking up.
Okay. Are you trying to go back and look up past winners to try and see?
Exactly.
Off the top of my head, 2 years ago, Vasilevsky. No, maybe 3 years ago. Hellebuck had one in there. 2 for Sergei Bobrovsky. Fleury last year was with Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Let's go the last decade. So since
I just said we're going to do this as a different off-season talker, and you're wanting to keep going.
I just wanted to prove you wrong.
Okay, we're doing it. Go for it.
Well, let's see. We got so that's the funny part. Bobrovsky has 2 in the last 10 years,
Mhm.
but one of them was when the team was in the West, not the East. How long have the Blue Jackets been in the East?
I'd have to look that up.
They moved over after all of the Hawks Cups, I know for sure. So 2015, 2016.
I'm still looking it up. So
Anyway, so you got Bobrovsky, so there's one. No, okay. No. You're kind of right though. You got Tuukka, Carey Price, Holtby, Bobrovsky again when they were in the East. Then Pecorine makes a show, Hellebuck, Fleury. So you're kind of right. I'll give you a little bit of it. You got about 60%. I'll give you that.
I will look up more facts to back it up.
That's an off-season topic.
after
I
that.
just wanted to fight you because we don't fight enough.
We do. We fight a lot. It's fun. It's entertaining. I hope it's entertaining.
I would agree with this comment that David just popped up with. I tend to think of good goalies when I think Nashville, so I would lean towards Saros. No, he's got a good point. I mean, every time I think of Nashville, even when we were getting past them, Nashville always has good goaltending. Pecorine, well, again, I mean, you pretty much always have good goaltending when you have 10 plus years of Pecorine. But
even before that, it was Thomas Vokoun for
right.
quite a few years. He was
exactly,
and then solid goaltender.
And then, I mean, he wasn't anything outstanding, but like when Pecorine started kind of getting older, like Carter Hutton kind of slightly took over, and then obviously, right into good old Juicy. I think but I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think Saros has. We got another comment. What is it? HP. Yep. Okay, but he is talking about West Coast. Blue Jackets in Nashville aren't on the West Coast. No. He was talking about conferences.
I did say Western Conference, but primarily the ones who have gotten it really have been the ones on the West Coast. The fact that John Gibson doesn't have a Vezina yet
that makes me sick.
Like that's one that really, I mean, he should have at least one by now.
Again, we'll do this in the offseason, but I got to get the anger out. The fact that Corey Crawford doesn't have 2 of them still makes me sick. Anyway.
Richard Trophy, top goal scorer. This is another one that if we ask a lot of people who the leading goal scorer in the league was right now, I would bet 9 out of 10 would have the wrong answer to this question.
Now, that answer would be, if I were average, everyday watcher of the NHL, it's got to be Alex Ovechkin. You would be wrong.
It's got to be Leon Draisaitl then. Well, guess what?
You'd be wrong.
Maybe
it is actually
maybe it's Austin Matthews. No, you are still wrong.
The correct answer is Chris Kreider at the first to 30 goals this year in the 2021-2022 season.
And I feel like the seasons that Chris Kreider and Nazem Kadri in Colorado are having, between those two, like they are not getting anywhere near the attention they deserve for how well they are playing this season.
They don't have the name power that the other guys do. I mean, that's got to play a part in it.
And HP was able to guess it. He got in with Chris Kreider. We'll give it to him. HP guessed.
He Googled
it. You're not a casual fan though, HP. You're more.
Yeah, you're not a casual fan. You're just a Homer. You're just a Homer, Minnesota fan. Anyway.
You are going to get so many middle finger emojis from HP in the chat.
Do we have to censor that? No, we don't. Let's not censor that. We're more fun than that. Anyway.
So, Joel, looking at the second half of the season with Kreider at 30, Ovechkin 29, Draisaitl 28, Matthews 25, and your Chicago boy, Alex DeBrincat at 24.
My boy.
Not really too far out of the conversation there either.
He's 6 goals out. He's in 5th place, man.
Who are you taking to win the Richard Trophy this year?
It's tough, man. I guess if I'm not saying this is my pick, but if we're going to at least check and see what Vegas thinks. Vegas right now has Alex Ovechkin, of course, at plus 275. He's the number 1. Mm-hmm. And I would lean towards that. Who won it last year? Was it Draisaitl? No, not Draisaitl.
Matthews.
Yeah. Matthews, that's right. Yes. So just because of the tear Ovechkin's been on and he hasn't slowed down at any point here, like it's hard to bet against both Vegas and just the legend that is Ovechkin. Below him is Draisaitl at plus 300. Right below him is Matthews at plus 350. And then Chris Kreider right there at plus 550. So I think that's a little bit of a recency bias. Kreider's going to have the season of his life, and it's just going to keep going. But I don't know if he sustains the goal scoring to win the Richard. Man, it's tough. I mean, I think the easy pick would be, for me, probably Ovechkin. I mean, that's, again, as of today, Kreider only sits above Ovechkin. And I mean, man, that's weird that not even McDavid is in the top 10 right now. That's nuts. But, Draisaitl sits right there too. I mean, maybe the media, again, I think that whole media, again, the whole dumpster fire crap that's going on in Edmonton, I'm maybe that lights a fire under both McDavid and Draisaitl's ass. So maybe they just both take off for the next half of the season. But I don't know. I think I got to go with Ovechkin, but I didn't actually pick a dark horse for any of these. I'm going to pick a dark horse, and you did it for your team. I'm going to do it for mine. I think DeBrincat could potentially sneak in there.
Okay. I kind of went Huberdeau for the dark horse, and Kaprizov maybe in there as well as a finalist. But yeah, I could see DeBrincat in the mix. In fact, we have David chirping Arizona with an easy dunk here. Does DeBrincat have more goals than Arizona wins? Easily on wins, but points might get interesting in the second half of the season.
Oh, in the second half of this. Oh, wait. So he means currently, though.
Yeah, currently DeBrincat has 3 times as many, or 2.5.
So currently he has exactly as many goals as the Arizona Coyotes have points in the standings.
Right, but
now
on the
points,
question of just goals, yeah, easy. That's big.
Yeah, points he has way more than they do, but yeah, goals alone, yeah. I don't know, but I don't know, man. He's even on a mediocre team and on a team, we didn't mention this in the beginning. One of my biggest surprises is how little Patrick Kane is scoring. Like, I think he's at 40 points now, or 37 or 38. That's horrible for him, for his standards. So that's another surprise for me. But I don't know, man. You put anytime those two are on a line, especially a power play line, he's scoring a goal. So and plus at this point, like, they know they're not going anywhere. They're most likely. I'm going to say most likely. I'm not going to shut the door, but they're most likely not making the playoffs. So I think he can just start focusing on just piling up those goals this year. He could sneak in there.
I am so torn on this one, because looking at just where the race is at and kind of what is coming up on the schedule down the stretch, I wonder if Austin Matthews doesn't sneak back into this conversation.
I'm with you. I was thinking about that.
I'm still going to go Ovechkin. Ovi has scored in 22 of 43 games this season. He is scoring in more than half of his games. And like we just mentioned, 29 goals in 43 games. What he's doing is just unbelievable.
And at age, what is he, 38 now?
I
37?
think so. 36.
36, okay, sorry.
36, we're going the wrong way.
Sorry, Ovi.
At the same time, compared to all of those other goal scorers, Ovechkin is so far ahead of them in hits this season and hits for his career. I mean, there are very few players who play the style of game that Ovechkin does, with the goal scoring ability and with the physical presence on the ice. And I think while the Hart trophy for most valuable player might go to Huberdeau or Kaprizov, I think there's a very good chance that not only does Ovechkin take the Richard, but that he also might take the Ted Lindsay Award, which is the most outstanding player as voted by the players. So not hockey writers covering that one, but by the players. I think there's a very, very good chance that he wins that award this year. I'm going to go with Ovi for goals as well. And then one that I wrote about before the season, that this year was going to be the year of the rookie. It really has been in a lot of ways, and we've even seen some come completely by surprise in a lot of ways for guys who, playing their way into the conversation. And even with strong second halves, we've got some guys who might be in the mix. If Cole Caulfield is able to turn things around, he was the preseason favorite to win the Calder Trophy, and he is now down at plus 10,000. So he was about plus 175 heading into the season. That's how far a drop off it's been. But strong second half, he could get there. Joel, who is your pick for the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year today?
I know our boy is gonna love this, but I think it's gonna be Trevor Zegras. He's still 3 points behind Lucas Raymond right now. Lucas Raymond is leading all rookies in points at 33. Bud Zegras is sitting right at 30. But I don't know, man. I think he's gonna just keep doing his thing. He's gonna keep having fun. He's probably gonna have maybe one or two more potential ESPN Sports Center top 10 goals or assists even. And like I can't. I'd have to go back and get the data on this on how many times when you get the top 3 in Calder, like do any of them win if they've actually scored slightly less than the other? I don't necessarily remember the track record on that. I'd have to get the data on that, but I think just for the name's sake too, like if Zegras keeps it this close, even if someone like Raymond or God, his name is so fun to say, Moritz Seider, if both of if it kind of just continues to stay kind of a battle between those 3, if Zegras can keep that second place but still stay within like 1 or 2 points, maybe even within 3 points of whoever's at the top, if he's not at the top, I think Zegras can take it. He's made a name for himself for sure, and I think that helps.
I was just trying to look up when the last time was that we had a Calder Trophy winner who didn't lead the NHL in points. And
rookie points.
Or right, yeah, lead rookies in points. Yes, correct.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm going to have to do some off-show research here because I've done some looking through your entire answer there and couldn't find it. And for that reason, I think that Lucas Raymond is going to come out ahead. I think he's seeing a little bit more ice time throughout the season than Trevor Zegras has. It's close in points. It's a 3-point difference separating them. Raymond is playing roughly 30 more seconds a game. Moritz Seider, what he's done defensively this season has been really impressive as well. The Red Wings, not necessarily a good team by really any stretch this season. They started off kind of hot, but 18-18-6 on the season, 42 points in 42 games, 3-4-3 in their last 10. Not a playoff team, especially looking at who's ahead of them: Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston. Like, there's your top 4.
Yeah.
Boston starting to struggle a little bit. I don't know that that's going to crack the door open. HP saying Zegras should win it based on the insane Michigan assist he had alone.
And HP, to your point, like that's what I'm saying. Not just with that goal, but like just that goal in particular, but a plethora of other plays and just his interviews, his personality. Like he has made the biggest name for himself. If you're talking that arena, obviously points is the breadwinner in this award anyway. But like, also not to interrupt your answer, the one thing that you reminded me of was the playoff position. Like, the Ducks are still sitting in second place in their division versus like Detroit, not in a playoff spot, probably not going to sneak their way into there. They'll continue to be fine, but I don't know if they sneak their way back into the playoffs. And I think that I think that might play a role too. I know it normally plays more of a role in like, say, the Hart discussion, right? If your team makes the playoffs, you're probably going to get that. Like that's the final tiebreaker if it's really that close. I could see that playing a factor too in Zegras getting it if the Ducks can sustain this.
I'm going Lucas Raymond, but I would not be surprised at all to see Zegras. My heart says Zegras. I love what he's done in Anaheim. Like he's made that team so fun to watch. One of the most entertaining players and personalities in the game, like on and off the ice. He's hilarious. You watch the interviews that he does and whatnot. Like he's just a goofball and is just having so much fun out there. Like I think the league really needs to be pushing him as their next like big star from a marketing standpoint. Like Trevor Zegras is must-watch TV when he is on. So I could see if it's close. I think you bring up a great point about the playoffs. Ducks, pretty sure they're going to go. It would probably take a pretty big drop off at this point. for them to miss the playoffs. I think they're going. I think Detroit's not. That could be the difference, but I'm still going to go with Raymond. I think he finishes ahead in points, and I think for that reason, he's going to end up being the guy.
There's another. I'm not going to talk more about it. I just want to throw the name. I don't know much about this player. I just know the research I was doing before we started the show, just a few different articles, a few different stat websites and stuff on like who could have a chance to win it too. Like Anton Lundell apparently is making some noise too. Like he's got 24 points, which puts him amongst, what is that? He rounds out the.
He's sixth or tied for fifth. Tied for fifth.
No,
tied for fifth with Bunting. In points on the season.
Yes.
You're gonna say odd.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Yes, he's tied for fifth, rounding out the top five for at least points for rookies. So I mean, but I know like Michael Bunting. I know I've seen his name in there too, but for some reason I've seen Anton Lundell just kind of fly. Again, that could also be because Florida is such a wagon, and your team, how they're doing, maybe skyrockets you a little bit. I don't know if he does, but I know his name's been getting thrown around.
You know what? You brought up one more name to keep in the conversation. I'm going to do the same one more, and that's Tanner Jeannot with the Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
Jeannot leads all rookies in goals right now with 13. He's got 2 more than Raymond. Again, like we said with Saros for the Vezina, if Nashville finishes in playoff position, and especially if they can snag one of the top 2 spots in a pretty good Central Division, I could see Jeannot being at minimum a finalist, possibly a winner, and especially if he takes the lead in goals as well. He's a kind of a dark horse name to keep an eye on. Right now, the odds literally just updated. Jeannot plus 1,000, Lundell plus 1,500. Ahead of Michael Bunting, who is at plus 2,200, despite being tied with Bunting was tied with, who did I just say? Bunting was tied in points with Lundell. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Both of them 9 goals, 15 assists. But one is playing on Florida, one's in Toronto. We'll see how the votes go there. You know what? We got time. We'll do it. We'll try and keep this one quick. Jack Adams for the top head coaching honors. This one, one of the lesser talked about awards, doesn't see the same kind of betting action that other teams, or other awards, I should say, tend to get. Joel, who is your pick for top head coach at this point in the season?
You know, it's interesting. I just retweeted kind of where it's at right now, and yeah, we won't spend a lot of time, but I just retweeted apparently where the NHL has midseason votes, and right now it's actually a tie. It's a tie between. Oh, Siri, I'm not talking to you. It's actually a tie between Mike Sullivan and Gerard Gallant right now at 44 votes apiece. And I kind of agree. And then right below them with 37 votes is Rob Brindamore, which I could definitely agree with that. I could definitely agree with Gerard Gallant too, with just how, the Rangers are doing. But if we're talking actual odds, if I look at Vegas right now, actually, Brindamore is actually at the top for Vegas right now at plus 600. And this doesn't surprise me in the slightest to see John Hines thrown in the mix there too.
That's a close race. I think Hines would probably be my guy. I could also see Andrew Brunette with the as the interim head coach of the Florida Panthers. I could see him in that conversation as well.
Yeah.
Another guy who really deserving there.
Blackhawk.
We're going to move into Wednesday night picks. Joel, you're 17-10 on the season. I'm 19-11.
We're not going to do the Norris?
No, I didn't have that on the list. So.
Oh, okay. That probably would have taken a while. There's a lot of
Norris. We could go all night with that. We'd never get to picks. We'd never get to 2 minutes for roughing. And my computer is dying.
Everyone wants to listen to us for 3 hours. What do you mean?
You know what? Guess what? We have a show next week. We could talk about that next week for all we care.
I'm fine with that.
Because you know what else? We didn't talk about the Selke either. We didn't talk about the Selke. We could do the Norris.
That one's hard.
That one is hard. Not not a whole lot of data that we can go to right now to back that up. But that's two more that we could take a look at. We could talk division winners, second half predictions. We could do a whole second show there. Wednesday night picks, you see the scores on the screen. I'm still on top, but Joel, a 3-0 week last week.
My third one this year.
The difference being the Arizona Coyotes putting you over the top.
Yep.
Will he go 3-0 again this week? Will I go 3-0? Will we split? How is this going to work? HP saying, make it a 2-hour show. Do it. You won't. Just wait. We will. At some point, we will.
Help market us, and we will make it a 2-hour show.
First pick of the night, San Jose Sharks plus 1.5 goals at minus 145. At the Washington Capitals, minus 1.5 goals at plus 125. Joel, keep this one pretty quick. Who you got?
You know, it really isn't as tough as I'm making it sound. I really think, well, you know, it's funny, though. I mean, Washington is 3-5-2 in their last 10, and San Jose is, I just had it, where are they at? 4-5-1 on a 2-game losing streak, and Caps on a 1-game losing streak. So they're both kind of chilly right now. I wouldn't say totally cold, but a little chilly. We were just giving them so much love. And I know their goaltending has been a little spotty. I actually heard something that I'll mention at the end of the show. That'd be kind of fun to tease. But, man, I don't know why it's so. I think the only reason it's so tough is because they're both kind of cold, but they're also still both decent teams. I think I ultimately, though, have to go with Washington. Based on, you know, we were just talking up Ovechkin. I know they're a little banged up right now, but I think, oh man, and I gotta pick I gotta pick them to cover too.
You do.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna say I think Washington wins. However, I think San Jose still covers. So I guess technically that would mean I pick San Jose then, right? The way we do this.
Yeah. So you're picking San Jose to win or lose by a goal. I'm going to take Caps by 2, and I'm going to take you full screen for just a moment here.
Oh, I get to be full screen?
Yeah, you do.
Welcome
technical difficulties behind the scenes
to Pod Snipe Celly featuring only
a little bit more while I address the technical difficulties.
That is totally fine. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's kind of a tough pick, but I would probably have to go with. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is tough. You know what though? Because you said you're gonna take the Caps to win by 2, I am gonna take the Sharks to at least cover. Not gonna take them to win, but that's not what this pick is, at least on the show. So I'll take the Sharks to cover. I think they're just they've been scoring in droves lately. I think good old their good old all-star Timo Meier helps them at least cover.
Yeah, Timo Meier having a heck of a season. Technical difficulties have been resolved.
Man, come on!
You were loving that FaceTime.
How I was.
I think the people were too.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I got to show off this beautiful beard.
I had some technical difficulties with my computer here. Parents with the assist, so appreciate that. I'm in Minnesota this week, and shout out to the parents for helping me out with.
Is it colder out there than it is in Chicago? I'm curious.
Yes.
What is it right now?
Last I checked, it was -6.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
the defense rests.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's 9 here, so yeah, you got us.
22 in Cincinnati, so that's what I have to look forward to as I head back tomorrow.
This isn't part of the picks. We'll go to the next pick, but really quick, would you take the over or the under on this one? It's not part of it. I'm just curious.
What is the over/under set at?
5.5.
Over.
That's what I was thinking too. I was just curious what you thought.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. You mentioned the goaltending struggles with Washington. San Jose, kind of a sneaky good defensive team this season. San Jose.
Stupid question. Who's San Jose's goalie right now?
Oh boy, Reimer.
That's it. Thank you,
James Reimer.
Yes. Okay.
And
There's very few teams I forget their goalie, but definitely San Jose is one of them.
yeah, I mean, well, they had a lot of the turnover there because they cleared out Devin Dubnyk, they cleared out Martin Jones. So Reimer and Aiden Hill are the two guys. In fact, they've
Right.
both started 21 games each on the season. So
yeah. Okay.
could go either way on that one. Yeah, getting down to minus 17 tonight. Fahrenheit. So yeah, minus.
Yikes. Anywho, on to the next game.
Ballpark minus 27, 28 Celsius, something like that. If I did the math right.
Why are you going in Celsius?
You know what? Because we're trying to go international here. We got you don't know who's going to go Fahrenheit and who's going to go Celsius.
You know what? You're right. I actually would prefer Celsius. Whatever.
Yeah, it makes more sense if we're being.
We should use the metric system. But anyway.
You know what? Make that a 2 minutes for roughing someday. Next pick, Anaheim Ducks plus 1.5 goals at minus 105.
What is with you and the damn covering?
At because it makes the picks more difficult. Like look at how close these odds are. Minus 105 and minus 115. That is about as close as it gets on betting action, and that's why we make the tough picks. Yeah. The people are coming to us. We're number 1 and 2 on Sharp Rank. We got to do it. We got to make the tough calls for everybody.
Yep.
So Ducks plus 1.5 goals at minus 105. Leafs to win by 2 or more at minus 115. Joel, who you got?
Man. I mean, I always go to my go-to. I got to check their last 10 real quick. Toronto, where they at? Toronto in their last 10 are 7-2-1. Just won their last game, so they're on a 1-game winning streak. And of course, the Ducks, who are also killing it. 2-game winning streak, but 4-6 in their last 10. So off of just I have to learn my lesson alone. I've bet against the Maple Leafs this year. It's got to be at least twice, I think, and it has screwed me both times. So I am fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to go Maple Leafs, and I'm going to take them to win by 2.
We talked earlier in the show about John Gibson.
We did.
I think John Gibson could have a really good night tomorrow night. I've done all right picking against Toronto this year. In fact, one of those times I picked against them was picking Arizona.
Got another Vezina favorite in net on Toronto Campbell, too.
Yeah.
That's why the over-under is actually set pretty high. It's set at 6. I'm going to take the under.
I would take the under. I'm thinking this is going to be a 3-2-2-1 type of game.
So you're going to pick the Ducks to cover.
Yeah, you talked me into it. I'll do Ducks to cover. So we'll go 2 different here so far.
Wait, I talked you into it. Does that mean I get half a point then if I win?
We don't do half points.
I talked you into it. I sold you on the opposite end. I'm just.
I was leaning that way, and you just gave me the push over the edge. I mean,
I'll push you over an edge.
Ayo.
Just kidding. What?
And the final pick of the night. Guess what? If you were mad about covers on the last one, you got a cover to figure out on this one too. No. Boston Bruins plus 1.5 goals at minus 155 at the Avalanche minus 1.5 goals at plus 135. Joel, Bruins to win or lose by 1, or the Avalanche to win by 2 or more.
As I do, I go to the last 10. Boston 7-3-0 in their last 10. Pretty good actually, since getting Tuukka back. How many games has he played since he's been back though? Has he done every? He hasn't.
4.
4.
They have won 3 of them, but he has not put up great numbers.
Right. Well, I mean, he's got to work off the cobwebs. But anywho, that doesn't even matter. This one is actually extremely easy for me. I am absolutely going Colorado, and I'm not even going to take Boston to cover. Colorado is a
Hang on, I misled you. Boston is 2-2-0 with Rask since his return. Rask an .844 save percentage and a 4.28 goals against average. So if I throw those numbers out, you heard that correctly. 4.28 goals against.
Wow. I had made my pick before you told me that. Now you're just making me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming he's going to start. Have they confirmed that?
They have maybe. Give me 5 seconds here to look it up. It's it's tough because it's still
Usually,
you're looking at today's games. Usually that's confirmed in the game day state
usually ESPN
beforehand.
Fantasy. ESPN
Neither
Fantasy will give
goalie
you the proper.
confirmed for the other team, but it looks like Darcy Kemper still out for Colorado. Pavel
Francouz.
Francois.
No, I said that and you corrected me.
Francouz.
Can't be Francois. There's no I at the end.
We're just making stuff up now.
I'm more French than you. We've established this.
Okay.
Anywho, it doesn't matter. Even before you gave me those Rask numbers that are a little bit on the yikes surprising
Putrid.
side. Like, damn,
They are terrible numbers.
That's gross in a bad way. Gross. I already knew. Right, I already knew this going in. I am absolutely sticking with pretty much the team that has taken me to the dance so far this year with a 17-10 record, at least on Pod Snipe Celly. I got to check my Sharp Rank record in the NHL. I'll do that in a minute. But absolutely Colorado, and I'll even take the win by 2.
Yeah, this is for me. It's kind of a slam dunk here. Colorado. I might even try and look into an
taking the over too.
Alternate puck line on this game. I wonder. Over under is set at 6.
Yep.
Colorado might be able to put that up on their own if
exactly. And by the way, I know I always you and I both probably slam the last 10. 9-0-1, man, for Colorado. They are hot.
Yeah, I think it's still a little too early to look up the alternate lines to see if I could get Colorado to win by cover at -2.5 to win by 3 or more. I do not like Boston right now, man. Defensively they've struggled. Goaltending has really been rough with Rask coming back.
Is McAvoy still? McAvoy was out. Is he back?
That is a very good question. Charlie McAvoy, looking at the injury report, is back.
Oh, he is.
So McAvoy is back, but still a few other injuries. Nick Foligno, Matt Grzelcyk, Anton Bly, I think is how you say it. Trent Frederick, boo, he's still out.
Trent Frederick, why'd you boo him?
Because he tried to put Kaprizov's face through the boards.
Oh my God, that's right. I was watching that game. Yeah, that was bad. That was
a really, really bad hit.
That was crap.
Yeah. So I'm going Colorado here as well. Boston can go cry about it. So we both took Colorado. I took the Ducks. You took the Maple Leafs. We had one other pick on the Ducks as well. David chiming in. Hopefully they don't go afoul. At a kid.
But
And Joel taking the San Jose Sharks to cover that +1.5. I am taking the Capitals to win by 2. Those are your Wednesday night picks. Joel, do we have enough time to do Would You Rather and 2 minutes for roughing?
Yeah. Would You Rather won't take long. We'll go right. We'll go like 5 minutes over.
We have asked the people of Twitter to send us some Would You Rather hockey questions. We have gotten quite a few responses on that. Joel,
we'll do
you have done some work compiling those. You've got a couple for us tonight. So I'm going to let you take the floor here with the Would You Rather questions of the night.
Absolutely. And I will obviously answer. I will answer myself, but I'll ask you first. So first one will actually go away from hockey real quick. And that is, would you rather eat Chick-fil-A or Raising Cane's for the rest of your life? And that is submitted to us by HP.
That is a great question.
And I have my answer, but I'm curious.
I have my answer as well. I have thought quite a bit about this. I think for me, and I hope this doesn't sway your opinion.
No.
Because of the wider selection of options on the menu, I would lean Chick-fil-A. I think you can get just a little bit more variety in there. Cane's sauce is phenomenal.
Now that's actually, this isn't even a would you rather, Cane's sauce or Chick-fil-A sauce?
Cane's sauce.
Absolutely.
Hands down for me.
Absolutely agree.
It's not particularly close, but
nope.
I think if we're talking about menu as a whole, Chick-fil-A would take it for me between those two.
There's no argument here. Chick-fil-A. And I don't even care about What is
This
this?
is an
Canes.
interesting counterpoint.
Ooh.
If we can't have Chick-fil-A on Sundays, does that mean we don't eat at all on Sundays?
I mean,
That
no,
is a game changer.
you just go to Chipotle.
That wasn't the question. It was you can only eat one or the other.
Oh, well then, yeah, you fast on Sunday, whatever.
Yeah, sleep it off.
You intermittent fasting. It's actually a pretty decent diet. Anyway, absolutely.
You cook the food. They serve it at 11:59 p.m. They close at midnight, and you've got.
Oh yeah,
food for the next
just
day.
order do an Uber Eats order or something on Saturday night and get like $30 worth of Chick-fil-A and heat it up tomorrow on Sunday. Easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely Chick-fil-A. I guess though I've only had Cane's twice, but even still, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. What's the next question?
All right. So the other one, I mean, I want you to answer first because I'll have a longer answer. You probably won't care too much because it is submitted by Joey out there in Orlando. Shout out for you. This is more for me, but for the Hawks, back in the 90s, would you have rather have kept Hasek instead of Belfour?
I mean, in a word, yes. Not knowing the actual makeup of the Hawks team at that point, I would say I'm not as familiar with the Hawks franchise history, but
not even. I think it's even high level. It's just simply like
I consider Hasek to be the best goalie who has ever played.
I agree.
I've got him as number one on my list.
I agree, and I mean,
so for that reason, you get a chance to keep the top goalie of all time. You do it,
right?
So
and I mean,
that would be my answer for that one.
Yeah, the way he phrased the question too is like, would you rather the Hawks have kept Hasek or traded him away anyway? Because when they traded him away, it made room for them to, keep trade him away, and it makes room for Belfour. I thought this was going to be harder for me, but no. I mean, you don't trade away the GOAT. It's or one of the GOATs. When I started like learning about hockey and really looking into like the Blackhawks franchise history before I, started looking into NHL history and stuff like that. When I started learning the NHL history and I saw that, holy crap, the Hawks drafted Dominik Hasek and traded him. I was like, I want to throw up. I think they win a Stanley Cup in, around that time if they keep Hasek. So yeah, I would rather keep Hasek.
Yeah, I think that was it. Do we have one more?
No. You wanted to go quick. We have more, but we'll do two. It's going to pretty much be like 2 or 3 a week, but we'll stick to 2 this week.
Sounds good. Well, that was Would You Rather, which leads us into our final segment of the night, 2 minutes for roughing. Joel, you covered things last week, so I am on the clock this week.
Yes, you are.
And I really struggled to come up with a topic this week. But I have something that I think we can riff on for 2 minutes here. So if you would be so kind as to put 2 minutes on the clock for me.
Alrighty. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So as travel expenses go, few things are more insufferable than all of the fees that come with air travel. And in particular, we're going to talk about baggage fees because last week, flying out from Cincinnati to Minneapolis, short flight, but guess what? $30 bag fee going each direction for a checked bag. Now, I have my backpack, which has some of my broadcast equipment, my computer with me so I can do work on the plane and whatnot. But I don't have another bag that's with me on the plane. It's just that. So why does the checked bag still count if I'm not taking a carry-on bag? Why is there an extra fee for that? I'm already paying $400 to go on this flight. And whether I'm going for a 2-hour flight or a 10-hour flight, why does there need to be a bag fee? You're assuming that I'm going to be bringing luggage with me on the plane. You accounted for that when you calculated how much fuel you were going to need based on how many passengers were on the plane. It is such a greedy thing from these airlines. And I get it. The airlines want money. They're a business. But it is the dumbest thing. Everybody is going to be traveling with at least one bag of some kind. It's so far over the top. that I'm already paying $400 for a seat. And that's, I mean, that's if you're doing the economy flight for the round trip airfare. You want to sit in first class, it's way more than that. And guess what? There's still bag fees if you're flying first class. It's so dumb. And I wish we could do something about it, but we can't. So airlines, this is my angry rant to you. Get rid of the stupid bag fees. Let me on the plane. That's all I want, is to fly with my luggage and no baggage fees.
I wasn't expecting that one.
No, you really weren't.
I guess, yeah, rough them up, Dan.
David is with me on this one. I
mean,
I get it. They're a business, and they're never ever going to get rid of it now that they've started like charging for bag fees. But
I have a couple solutions for you to avoid that in the first place.
Are you going to tell me put on every single article of clothing that I'm wearing with me on the trip on the plane?
No, I was just going to say.
I sure thought about that.
I mean, when you're going to Minnesota, it probably would be fine, but I would say carry.
Yeah, but not when you're actually on the plane. You know,
I don't know about you, man.
Planes get, it's not comfortable.
I don't know about you, man. I always just do a duffel bag carry-on, and that's all I ever need. And it doesn't matter how long the vacation is. I'm good to go. Air travel does suck in general sometimes, for sure. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of flying. I get over it if it's going to be far, but also that's the other solution. Drive.
You know what? Sometimes it's too far to drive in a day. Sometimes you got.
How long of a drive is it? How long of a drive is it from Cincy to
it is the only time I've ever made that drive was I made it with my U-Haul truck as I was moving from Minnesota to Cincinnati and broke it up. Broke it up over a couple of days. Right. But it was, I think, if I were to do it just in a car and actually be able to go the speed limit the whole way, it'd be about 15 hours roughly. I mean, can you make it in a day? Sure. But when I'm one guy driving and when I have work that I need to do and can't take 15 hours plus a sleep on either side of that, guys got to work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've done from Illinois to Denver, and that was 14 and a half hours. So, I mean, I wasn't driving though. My buddy Ryan was driving, but I was.
Yeah, that helps.
I offered to drive. He was like, I'm cool with it. But I don't know, man. I mean, also, who'd you fly? There's my other thing. Who'd you fly?
I flew an airline that is named after a Greek letter. I'm not going to say it. I'll just let people fill in the blanks on that one so that I don't get in trouble for slandering said airline.
Oh, that's all right, fine. But there's your I mean, I don't know. I have a go-to airline, and they've, been awesome, especially for someone who's afraid of flying. So I love me some Southwest, man. So I don't know.
Yeah,
anywho,
I have never been one for air travel. I'm gonna put in my headphones, crank up the music, and just try to forget about the fact that I'm on a plane.
Rough up those flight attendants, Dan. Rough them up.
No, flight attendants are people too, and they are not the ones who are charging the bag fees. They will not be the ones that I go after. Flight attendants are people too.
It's how they're paid, though.
Is it though?
I don't know.
It might be. I don't know.
Just send us off, man.
The more I look into it, the more angry I'm going to get. So we're going to wrap up the show there. And that is the end of tonight's episode of wow.
Paul? Who's Paul?
We're going to start over.
Hi, I'm Paul.
Oh,
remember
God.
That?
The other week I messed up the intro. Now I'm messing up the outro.
You know what? For Dan Bradley, I'm Joel Fernino. This has been Pod Snipe Celly. Remember to listen to us on Spotify and Apple Music on demand. And you can also just, if you want to watch our beautiful faces, especially our beautiful beards, go ahead and check out the recording on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Does it record on Twitch? I think it does. And follow us on Twitter. Friend us on Facebook if you want. Have a good night, everybody.